Welcome to Screen to Speed, Driver's Edition, where we sit down and talk with the women participating in the Screen to Speed competition. So, what exactly is Screen to Speed? Well, Screen to Speed is an all-women's sim racing competition developed for women by women that seeks to create a pipeline that brings more women into motorsports from sim racing. So you might be asking, how does it work? It's simple. The competition is open to all women worldwide. The first step is the qualifier, where it's not just your skills on the sim track, but how you engage with your community that will determine your overall rank. From there, the top 20 women from the online iRacing qualifier will go to Las Vegas to compete in the IRL competition during the Pennzoil 400 event. The winner of this event will have the opportunity to seat in a Kelly Moss Porsche race car with a chance to show off her skill in real life. Drivers also have the opportunity to win $15,000 in the next level sim racing rig. So without any further ado, let's welcome on tonight's driver, Athena Leclerc. Hey Athena, how's it going?
Hey, it's going pretty good. How about yourself?
I am doing well. So first and foremost, thank you so much for just taking out the time to be a part of this conversation and to be a part of this competition. We really appreciate it. And so, as always, I like to start out by asking people, where are you interviewing from, since we are a worldwide competition?
Well, I'm coming live here from our lovely esports facility in Windsor, Ontario, Canada. I'm a part of the St. Clair Saints iRacing team here at St. Clair College. So, got this wonderful room to be able to broadcast to everyone.
Nice, nice. And we're going to talk about that a little later. But before we get into that, tell me, how did you get your start in sim racing?
So I got my start way back in like 2016, 2017. I was mainly just starting out on a little game called Forza Motorsports 7 back on the Xbox One. And pretty much I climbed through the ranks, kind of worked my way up, got into bigger leagues like Tora, and eventually tried to qualify for the Ma Esports series in 2021.
Okay.
Wasn't really able to make it in, but was able to get a big with some teams and kind of broke out from there.
Nice. So, what was the transition like for you from going from like Forza to, other Sims?
Well, it was pretty big. I went from Forza to Project Cars, and then from Project Cars to iRacing. It was
Okay.
a pretty weird. You got a lot of different physics engines, and it's pretty strange going from one to the other. But you got a lot of transferable skills, mainly knowing where the racing line is and all that. It's really transferable across sims. So sure, it took me a bit to get to know the cars, but overall, it didn't take too long to get myself warm back in the seat.
Nice. Now, let's talk about that first competition, that you were ever a part of online, beyond just, racing the computer, of course.
hmm
What was that like for you? What did you experience? What did you learn from that?
So my first event was a Le Mans 24-hour event on
That
Forza,
was your
and
first event?
yeah,
Wow.
and we drove the LMP1 car. We drove a an Audi, and it was going very well. We were running top five all the way up until we hit a curb before the straight, and the front end of the car just picked up, and we ended up doing a backflip. And unfortunately, we weren't really able to continue the event after that.
Wow. Wow.
But
Yeah, I know how that feels. Not
yeah,
that I did a 24-hour, but I hate racing in the dark because I just feel like the track all of a sudden changes into something else. And I was at the end of a race, and yeah, I just missed my breaking point, and that was it.
yeah,
So
it happens to the best of
yeah.
us.
Yeah. So let's get into before we start talking about screen to speed. Tell me a little bit about St. Clair College, and this is a pretty historic thing that you all are doing at St. Clair. So tell me a little bit about St. Clair College, and then also share a little bit about the esports program there and the esports team.
Yeah, so St. Clair College is it's a community college based in Windsor, Ontario. We also have a Chatham campus, which one of our other drivers also resides from. And basically, we just started out as a club team about 2 years ago, and
Okay.
kind of we ran pretty well. We got a win in our first season, which was huge for us being brand new. Like we didn't really have the resources that a lot of the other teams may have had, and we were able to build it up. Sean Burns was kind enough to bring us on to the academy team, which he just started that up this year, and it's going very well. We already won one championship in the Collegiate iRacing League. We have had multiple entries into the eNASCAR series for the run by Nace, and
Nice.
yeah, it's going pretty
So,
well.
okay, so you all started out as a club team, and then you moved to is it what was the terminology? Is it I say varsity, but it's
Academy.
academy. Got
Yeah.
it. And that's when you all were able to start offering scholarships, correct?
Yeah, so we are given scholarships essentially just to run races and be a part of as a team, similar to how you have varsity programs in the United States. We actually do have a varsity program here at St. Clair, and we're trying our best to try and work up to that level to be able to get that extra funding that the
Yeah.
bigger teams have.
I mean, that must be pretty cool though to be like the first sim racing team in a college. Um, what what is some advice that you can maybe offer some other colleges or universities that are looking to build out a team?
Honestly, try and get like a well grouped, just small group, people who treat each other like family and are willing to work together. Teams do not work with unless you like every person in the team. You gotta
Yes,
be able to mesh well together. You gotta have that good chemistry, and if you don't have that chemistry, it's really hard to be able to be successful, especially at such a competitive level as the collegiate scene has shown to be.
nice, nice. Well, let's talk about some other groundbreaking things that are happening, and one of those happens to be screen to speed, right?
Mhm.
As I mentioned in my intro, it is the first all women's competition built for women by women that will literally get women from the screen, right, from sim racing onto an actual motor speedway. What are your thoughts about that? How did you get interested in it?
Honestly, I think it's really big. Honestly, these opportunities don't really come up enough. I really wish there was more opportunities like this, and I actually found out through my friend Jordan. He's my spotter for the Collegiate iRacing League and the eNASCAR series. Um, Basically, he just found it through the time trial and basically said, "Hey, Athena, you should check this out. It looks pretty interesting." I was like, "Sure." So after that, I started sharing it to my friends and kind of
Nice.
trying to help grow the competitive scene here because it's looking pretty tight, and I'm hoping to see it even tighter.
Nice, nice. Now, um, as we all know, the first track that you all are doing is a Las Vegas track, and it's also with a NASCAR. And we have some footage of you here
Hmm.
driving around, and we're going to get into like how you're doing because you're doing quite well, by the way. But before we get into that, share some of your thoughts about the competition that's happening, the car, the track that's going on with Screen to Speed. What do you think about that? What are your thoughts?
Honestly, I'm finding this competition very fun. This track and car combination, although it's tricky, it's really fun once you get the hang of it. Like, and the competition, like, it's a lot of people that I know. So, like, I'm able to talk with other people, and I've been able to really network and kind of meet a whole bunch of other people, just like myself, who honestly, it's that maybe their first opportunity getting into this as well. And
Okay.
it's honestly been a really fun opportunity.
Nice, nice. Now, the cool thing about this competition is what it's doing, right? Which is like, as I mentioned, opening the door to get more women into motor sports. And
Mhm.
what's really cool about it is the backing that it has, right? So it's just not a bunch of no-name people who are doing this, but it's backed by some pretty big names. You have Pennzoil, you have Ford, and of course, Init Esports, who's behind it as well. What are your thoughts about like organizations and companies like these stepping up in order to make things like this happen?
Honestly, it's wonderful to see. Honestly, like Women do not get enough representation in motorsports. It's
Hmm.
pretty obvious, like, you can see it. So having something like this being backed by such huge companies is great because it allows more people who may have not have had the chance before get an opportunity to maybe get a chance to drive a real race car. And also even just the publicity from this and
Yeah.
being able to, you know, get in contact with other people that are in the community, it's just such a great opportunity for everyone involved. So,
Nice. Now you mentioned it just a minute ago about going from literally the screen to the speedway. What do you think about that? Like, uh, it's so rare that you have a video game that you can take, learn, play, and then be able to apply those same kind of mechanics and skills in real life, right? And so what are your thoughts about having the opportunity to possibly get behind a Porsche and a real racing car and get on a real track?
for me, it would be a dream come true. I've always wanted to become a race car driver, and honestly, sim racing has been that way for me to basically be able to get all that passion that I want to do out
Mhm.
in a competitive manner. So, being able to see the chance of possibly getting to do what I wanna do, like, career-wise is
Yeah.
just amazing. Like, you don't understand the ecstatic feeling, and I'm sure a lot of the other competitors are in the same boat as me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is something that's amazing when you're able to pursue your passion and live it out in real life, right? Um, so let's talk about that pursuit.
Mhm.
You are by no means behind. You're number three in the leaderboard, and you are really killing it out there. Can you share with us, like, what is your secret? How are you finding the speed that you need on this track?
Honestly, this track is all about patience. You can't be hard on that throttle. At most, the only time I'm 100% on the throttle is on that front stretch that we're gonna be coming up to here. Really, a very technical track, and as soon as you start spinning the rear tires, you're losing time. So it's all about trying to maintain that grip and trying to pretty much not spin the tires. That's mainly the big thing.
Nice, nice. So with you being number three, it looks like there's this opportunity for you to be in Vegas and participate and be a part. Um, how are you feeling about that?
Honestly, it's kind of surreal. This would be one of the biggest events I've been a part of, definitely in person. Like, I've you don't get these opportunities very often in sim racing. I can't
Yeah.
really even think of any current series that have been able to do this. So, especially coming out of COVID, it's nice to be able to see stuff come back into person.
Yes, yeah, I definitely agree with you. All right, so of course it's a racing competition, and
Mhm.
everyone wants to ultimately win, whether it's the seat, the entire competition, the money, the rig. Yes, those are all great things. But my question to you is, what are you hoping to get out of Screen to Speed, the experience beyond just winning?
Mainly, it's just being able to meet like-minded people and being able
Mhm.
to network and be able to branch out, be able to find other contacts. I know in motorsports and in sim racing, a lot of the thing is you gotta know somebody to know who you gotta know somebody who knows somebody to be able to get opportunities.
Yeah.
They don't really fall into your lap. So being able to network like that is gonna be a huge bonus for my career in esports.
Nice, nice. So let's talk a little more about you, right? I'm curious to know what drives you when it comes to racing. And of course, you're a student as well, but what are some of those things that sort of motivate you to get out there on the track and to do your best?
Honestly, it's like I've watched racing my entire life. Racing's
Hmm.
been a part of my like social system. It's been a part of my like pretty much the entirety of my childhood. I started watching NASCAR when I was just a little kid seeing the M&M's car, Elliott Sadler, and also being able to see, like Kyle Busch, those people,
Yeah, yeah.
and then aspiring to one day be like that. It's kind of putting a lot of motivation into me, trying to be able to someday be like the people who I look up to.
Nice. Now, I mean, I know this is gonna be a weird and probably a hard question to answer, but do you know how many races you've been a part of?
Oh, we're probably like competitively speaking, it's
Yeah.
probably around 300 to 400 at this point.
Wow.
But like if we're talking about just hopping on the rig, it'd
Oh, it's
be
probably thousands.
well like we're in the thousands now. Like minimum Daytona, I have like probably around 8,000 to 10,000 laps just on that track alone.
Wow.
So we got
Now with that though, so out of those 400 races, do you have a memorable one that's just like really near and dear to you?
honestly, yeah, my Daytona, the first season of the eNASCAR College iRacing series, I
Hmm.
ended up qualifying into Daytona, and I was very surprised with myself because I was pretty much like, "Whoa, I finally made it."
Yeah.
Like we're racing against like legitimate pros who have certified themselves in iRacing. Like you had Garrett Lowe, you or not Garrett Lowe. You had Steven Wilson. He's
Okay.
one of the people who's in the like the Coke series, and he's like rapid, and being able to race against that is just wow. And
Yeah.
I was even featured on the broadcast.
Oh wow.
There was a huge wreck, and we were going pretty much through turn four onto
Hmm.
that little dog leg, and pretty much five wide they were wrecking. I just swooped down and underneath and past it. It was such a an unbelievable moment. Like
Takes a lot of skill to do that too on
I mean,
oval
it was
like
mainly
that.
just my spotter yelling, "Low, low, 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 go down, go down."
And which is also interesting because I think a lot of people don't realize, right? Because they think that racing is such a singular, um, competitive event where it does take a team, right? You have more than
Mhm.
just yourself out there, putting in the work to make sure that you can do your best while you're racing. So, Athena, I'm curious, what are some of your racing goals beyond winning this competition? What are some of your racing goals for this year?
Honestly, one of my goals is to start doing the eNASCAR Road to Pro series and hopefully try and make it into contender series. It's pretty hard, especially in the position where I'm at. I have to really start grinding and getting a lot higher I rating because the
Hmm.
only way you can really make into those is being like the top of the top. So, but that's honestly one of my biggest goals is just try that and also continue to try and win championships in the college scene.
Nice, nice. All right, so I think I know the answers to these, but I'm still curious, and so I'm going to ask them. Let's start with what are your favorite cars to drive? Um, I have two, right? So I want to know because I know there's going to be a NASCAR, and if there's a
Mhm.
specific type of NASCAR, I'm interested in that. And then the second one is outside of NASCAR. What would be your favorite?
So for NASCAR, it's a split between the B class car, which is the Xfinity, the NASCAR Xfinity Series car.
Hmm.
Really enjoy that car. It's got a lot of power, low downforce. It's a real tough challenge to drive, especially on open setups because they're not tight. Like you can build them how you want. It's either
Okay,
that or the Gen 6 Cup car. That's another good one. Although unfortunately, it's no longer really used anymore. It's been replaced with the next gen.
right.
Um, outside of that, um, it would have to probably be the Formula One car, the brand new Mercedes. I've been really
The
enjoying that. It's been a lot of fun, like competitively speaking. Um,
the
I've also,
W13 is what you're
yeah,
referencing. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, the W13, the new Mercedes car. It's really, really fun.
After they finally figured it out, but yes.
Yeah, well, the one that's in iRacing is kind of like a mid-season model. You still have the
Okay.
porpoising. Like that's actually still a legitimate issue. Like you can
Wow.
see it in the replay. You can see the car still bouncing, and it's kind of weird. Like sometimes you can feel it, sometimes you can't, and it's like
Okay.
but it's definitely a really interesting car.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's interesting you say that because I want to say it was earlier last week. Mercedes sent out a post and they said about the W14 reveal because I believe it's February 25th or something. But they
Mhm.
were like, the W13 wasn't our fastest car, but we sure did learn a lot from it. so I it was exciting last year in F1 to see that evolution, and I think it was also a humbling experience for Mercedes to to have to figure it out. And so I thought it was pretty cool that it wasn't the super dominant car that it always is, and you sort of also got to see some other cars race as well. And so, but it was cool to see them gradually get better. So
Mm.
I'm looking forward to the W14 and hopefully to number 8 to Lewis Hamilton. We'll see.
I I mean, I'm a Red Bull fan. I'm not gonna say
Ah.
nothing.
All right.
Supermax.
Well. Speaking of F1, I just now noticed this. Right, your last name, and I have to ask the question: are you related to Charles?
I no, I'm not. I'm French Canadian. Most of my family is from well, like, heritage speaking, my family's from France, but
Okay.
I am Canadian. Um, there's no relation. It's funny because everyone mentions it, and then there's memes created of me in the collegiate scene. Like whenever
Wow.
I spin or go straight into a tire wall, it's like, oh, she did a Leclerc.
Oh wow, wow. All right, so we have the favorite car. What about tracks now? What is your favorite track?
So when it comes to ovals,
Hmm.
gotta say Kansas. Kansas
Okay.
has got to be one of my favorites. I like tracks where I'm able to rip the wall, get as close as possible to the high line. I'm not really that strong on the bottom, so it's a very good track when it comes to being able to stay close to that wall, be able to maximize speed through the corner rather than trying to kind of apex it and trying to cut it as close as possible and reducing the distance.
Hmm.
But for road courses, it's probably going to be Spa, and
All right.
either Spa or if we're talking about any sim, I actually do like Monaco, but unfortunately that's not an
Really?
iRacing. Yeah, Monaco is one of my favorite tracks.
Why? Because I hate it.
It's a very driver's track. You got to be very
Yes.
concentrated. You got
Uh-huh.
to
And
make
it's not
sure
about
you're
speed.
no, it's about survival and being able to just you're racing the track.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a very tricky track, and I personally enjoy it, especially from a person who loves doing time attacks.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say it's also it's about good qualifying because
Yeah.
it's very hard to pass anything on there at all. So
Hmm.
um it's interesting you bring it up because I loathe Monaco. But what I learned though is I started practicing it in the rain because it forces you to be more, cautious.
Hmm.
And as I was doing that, and then I came off of the rain and just like raced it without the rain, I got so much faster
Hmm.
because I had to super concentrate in the rain. And so it's a love hate relationship. Every time I try to do it in the season, when I'm playing, I just go ahead and skip it, or I'll just wreck it out and not hit replay and just keep moving.
Hmm.
But yes, yes. Oh, Monaco. And then lastly, do you have a favorite setup in terms of like you have a favorite wheel that you like to use, bass or pedals or any of that?
I mean, so currently what I'm running on, I got a Playseat base with a G920 racing wheel, and then I got the new CSL pedals from
Okay.
Fanatec. Um, that's what I have at home. I also have a VR. I mainly run in VR,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
switching over to a single monitor for this event is pretty weird for me. I've been mainly doing my racing here at the college, so that's just a normal G. It's a G29, so it's got the little dial and stuff. So it's a little bit more fancier than what I got at home, but it's definitely a big jump for me switching
Okay.
from being able to look around to
Yeah.
just the screen.
Yeah. And guessing what's in the side mirrors if you don't have the right.
Well, single monitor, like I actually don't see the mirror, so I end up having to use that little virtual mirror, which I don't personally like, but I mean, you
Yeah.
gotta work with what you gotta work with.
Definitely, definitely. All right. So, as you know, and as we begin to wrap up, this competition is not just about how fast you are. Although, yes, you're number three. It's also about your engagement. And so, this is an opportunity, Athena, for you to be able to share with the people. How can they support you? What are some ways, in terms of like if they want to follow you, if they want to make sure that they're building up your engagement so that you can bring that time down even more? How can people find you?
Absolutely. I mainly stream on Twitch. It's going to be maple_61. I've been mainly doing a lot of streams actually regarding this event, just trying to, you know, show what I'm doing. I don't
Okay.
want to hide what I'm doing. I
That's
actually
pretty cool too. That's respect.
I want to
Definitely.
I want to be able to have the people around me be able to see what I'm doing and maybe be able to adapt it to their own driving to maybe help them out because I mainly want to have people I want to have more people doing this event.
Yeah.
Um, and if you want updates on when I'm going live and stuff, well, I'm mainly active over on Twitter. It's at maple_iRacing. I put up any posts regarding when I'm live. I also put posts regarding, how my college is doing, how my driving's doing. So if you ever are interested in that stuff, that's where you're most likely going to be able to find information.
Great. Well, Athena, thank you so much for just taking the time out to speak to us and just for your generosity and wanting to encourage more people to be a part of this competition by, showing them, the track, showing them, how to get the great times. And hopefully there are people out there that have been inspired and will take you up on that offer and get out there and race. For everyone else, though, if you're interested in learning more about Screen to Speed, please make sure you check us out at www.screentospeed.com. That's www.screentospeed.com. And as always, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Pennzoil, Ford, iRacing, Yahoo, Kelly Moss, and especially Init Esports for just getting behind this competition and wanting to really see the success of women in motorsports. And so, one last question as we close
Mhm.
is what would you say to a young girl or a young woman that is interested in getting into sim racing? And actually, not even young. It can be a girl, woman, old, young, middle age, but anyone out there who's a woman who's interested in getting into sim racing. What is some advice you can offer them?
Honestly, don't be discouraged. It doesn't require a super expensive fancy setup in order to be able to get started.
Nice.
Honestly, I started off on an Xbox One controller. Like you can you
You came a
can
long way.
you don't need a nice fancy rig in order to be able to do it. And if it's something that you're truly passionate about and you really want to get into it, then by all means, we're typically a welcoming community, and hopefully I'll be able to see more people come on because the more the merrier.
That's right. Well, thank you so much, Athena, for taking out the time and sharing it with us and just being a part of this competition. I definitely believe that you bring something and you add something to it. And I look forward to seeing you in Vegas.